Hey there, and welcome to the Digital Nomad Family Podcast. This is the place where families who have or want to have a nomadic lifestyle come together to talk about the highs and lows that this life brings. We celebrate the joys and support each other in the hard. So, if you are a digital nomad family or will be in the future, this is the place for you. We're glad you're here. Hey guys, Marissa here with Digital Nomad Family Podcast. I hope you guys are doing well. I am recording this on a very rainy day here in San Jose, Costa Rica. I had to think where I was for a minute. You know you're a traveler when, even though we've been here for forever here in San Jose, but it's been really, really good. And today we're going to talk a little bit about a trip that my family went on to Colombia, to Cartagena, Colombia, and something we did there. But before we get into that, let me explain why we needed to leave Costa Rica. And it's like, okay, well, you went to Colombia and you're still in Costa Rica? Yes, we are. So as U.S. citizens, we get 6 months. This law was just changed recently while we've been here. So within the past year, this law was changed where U.S. citizens get 6 months instead of 3. So that's been really, really nice as far as having to go on visa runs while we've been here living in San Jose. But we did have to go on a visa run. And for that visa run, we decided to check out Cartagena, Colombia, for a couple reasons. One, the tickets were very inexpensive to get from San Jose to Cartagena. And there are 6 of us, so everything is multiplied by 6, and it's just expensive. If you're curious about our finances, I did a full-on breakdown. I literally had my budgeting app open, and I went down through what we spend and what we save every month. But yeah, it's not cheap to do this as a family of 6. And so, which is one of the reasons I love having this show, because I can just get real with you guys, and there's no judgment, and I appreciate that. And you guys as well. You can just get real with me, and I love that. So it was an inexpensive ticket to go there, and then it was a return ticket, of course, because we just went for about 5 days, and we went with the sole purpose of needing to get our visas renewed. Another reason we went there was because my family has never spent, even though we have been in Central America, we have not spent any time in the Caribbean. And so we wanted to hit up somewhere where it kind of checked that box. Like, okay, like we've been in the Caribbean, done that. And by no means do I think that it's all the same. I don't. Please don't hear me saying that. But it was easier to make this work, actually, getting on a plane and going to another country versus going to the Caribbean here in Costa Rica. We are hoping, like our fingers are crossed, that we can get over to the Caribbean side and check it out, but there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. And so we just wanted to make sure that we really got that Caribbean experience, and Cartagena is a fantastic place to make that happen. So yeah. And also it's a direct flight from San Jose to Cartagena, which is wonderful because our youngest son, Ryan, really struggles with his ears on airplanes. And we've talked about that in the past. If you have a kid or you personally struggle with your ears, and I'm not talking like, oh, it's annoying. I'm talking full on. When we land, there are times the poor kid can't lift his head. So if you have any tips for me about how to help him, we have a regiment now because we do fly a decent amount. So we do have like the things that seem to work, but please let me know if you have any tips. Here comes a motorcycle. They're so loud. And sometimes they're not even motorcycles. They just take regular bicycles and they add a motor to them. That one that passed was actually like a legitimate motorcycle, but there are bicycles that they just put a motor on, and those things are so noisy, and they will just come past just the window right here, because I record in Eric and I's bedroom, and they will just come past it all the hours of the night, all of them, and they'll just wake you up, and oh man, that's fun. And so anyways, if you have tips about ears on airplanes, please email me and let me know, because poor Ryan really does struggle, like to a level of there's pain. Like, it's not just discomfort, there's pain. And sometimes, depending on how bad it is, the pain can last for a couple of days afterwards. Not full on pain for that. The afterward stuff is just some discomfort. Like, I can still tell that my ears aren't quite right. So we do try to limit, and it's always worse with landing. And so we do try to limit the amount that we land. So direct flights are our favorite, because that's less landing that Ryan has to do. Because once he gets up, he's usually pretty good to go. It's not during the flight, it's that landing process. So knowing that they had a direct flight to Cartagena, hey, that's perfect. So we chose to go to Cartagena. We left on a Monday morning, and we got back on a Friday afternoon. So we were there for all of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday we just kind of ate breakfast and moseyed toward the airport. So 4 full days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 3 full days, excuse me. And so one of the things that we had the chance to do was experience a beach club. And if you are familiar with with coastal towns, beach clubs outside of the United States are very common, especially if you've spent any time in Southeast Asia. Beach clubs are just very, very common. We have a lot of them here in Central America as well. And by beach club, I just mean it's a location on the water, on the beach. They have beach access, and they usually have a swimming pool. And I really hope that you just heard that thunder. Like I said, I'm sitting here in a storm. There is more. I don't know the statistic. Again, I'm just going to throw a bunch of stuff at you guys right now. So please email me if you have any of these things. But I have seen more sky to ground lightning here in San Jose than I ever have anywhere else in the world. I will say that the thunderstorms in San Salvador were better. Sorry, Costa Rica. Better thunderstorms, like the way they looked, the way they rolled in, were in San Salvador. But man, the lightning here is no joke. And one of my teachers at my language school that I'm attending to learn Spanish, she said that on average 8 to 10 people a year are hit by lightning and killed here in Costa Rica. And I'm like, geez Louise, and I believe it. Before coming here, I had never seen lightning actually hit something. I could not say that anymore. Nope, definitely have. Multiple times in the same storm. It's insane. It's crazy. It's very cool. If you like being like in a storm, come here. Like if you like all the rain and thunder around you, if you like watching storms, go to San salvador. Anyways, I don't remember what I was talking about previously to that. So we went to Cartagena for 3 full days. And beach clubs. And so a beach club usually has a swimming pool, and they have a way that you can order food. They have comfortable places to sit. They have drinks. They have beach access. They have staff that takes care of everything for you. They're wonderful, wonderful experiences. And some of them are definitely more expensive than others. Some of them are more family friendly than others. And so one of the things we did while in Cartagena was go to a beach club. And we did this for a couple reasons. One, it was out on an island. It was on Isla Bomba, which is the closest island to the mainland in Cartagena. But Cartagena has so many islands. So many. Some of them take hours to get to. And you can go out there, and after 3 to 5 hours on a boat, you can stay on the island, and you can really just experience that being away from everything feel. We didn't want to do that for many, many reasons. Cost, timing. When you're only in a place for 3 full days, the idea of, okay, well, now we have to take everything out. Not that we had a bunch of stuff. We had 1 suitcase for the 6 of us. But the idea of just having to go and then you're there just for such a short amount of time, that just wasn't going to work with our schedule, because we also wanted to experience other things in Cartagena as well. And I will talk about those later. We had some really fun activities that we planned and did with the kids, and it was great. One of them being a cafe crawl. So fantastic. Cannot recommend that idea enough. But again, that's not this episode. That'll be another episode. But just to pique your interest, that's one of the things we did. And then, So we chose Isla Bomba because it's the closest island. You can get there in about anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, depending on where you are going to on Isla Bomba. And it's very inexpensive to get over there via boat. And there was also a newer beach club that we were able to partner with, and that's the club we went to. So you guys know me, I like to be super upfront and just transparent about stuff. So we were hosted at this beach club, and by that I mean we didn't pay any of the entrance fees, and we didn't pay for our transportation. We did pay for everything else. If we wanted food, if we wanted drinks, we paid for that. We just didn't pay to go in. So that would have added about $100 to the experience for us. And I go back and forth on whether or not, knowing that it would have cost us $100 additional dollars, if it was worth it. If it was just me, I'd probably say I'm not convinced it is. However, how many? It was 2 of the kids, I don't remember which 2 now, but I know because I have it written down, 2 of the kids said that this was their favorite day. So when 50% of your kids say that this was their favorite thing that they did in Cartagena, it does make it worth it. So if you are beach people, because the beaches on the mainland aren't fantastic. So if you want to experience a nice beach, that your kids can actually play in the water at the beach, there's also a swimming pool, this wins. This was amazing. And I don't say that for me it might not have been worth it for any bad reason. It's just I'm not totally a beach person. So that's all. That's the only reason I say that. But I think everyone else in our family, they all would say, yes, it's totally worth it. Pay the transportation fee, pay the entrance fee. Yes, it's worth it. And honestly, I think I would say it's worth it too, especially if you were there on vacation and you want to experience like a nice, relaxing beach day. So the beach club that we went to is called Beach Club Amare, and it was wonderful. I'm just gonna walk through our day, and this is gonna be a 2-part episode. So this first one is kind of just about all the club itself, what we did, all that. And the next one is gonna be, the next episode will be some kind of tips and tricks to make your time at Amare even better. So, and it can be any beach club as long as the tips I give you work for the beach club that you're going to, which they probably will. The next episode is going to be really worth it as well. But this one is all about Amare itself. And so how it works is there is a beach and it's right in front of a hospital. And Amare will send you the location of where to meet them. And this is the beach that you go to get a boat to go to one of the islands. You won't miss it. It's in Google Maps. Like, that's how known this beach is. So for us, it was only, I think, like a 12-minute walk from our Airbnb to get there. So we just walked. You could totally taxi or Uber. Either one would be fine. But we were like, it's a 10-minute walk. Let's just walk to it. So we got down there, and we were supposed to get there at 9:15. We got there a few minutes early, about 9 o'clock. And I like to be early for things. That's just the kind of person I am. I'd rather be early than late because I figure worst case scenario, we're just going to kind of be hanging out a little bit, not a big deal. And so whenever you get there, you're going to see out on the beach. So you'll see the hospital, and then out on the beach are so many beach clubs. Many of them have like flags, like you'll see nowadays. They're like the smaller flags, and it says what beach club they're associated with, and then you just go to that flag, and that will be where you meet up with your driver. Amare did not have any flags. Maybe they will in the future, I'm not sure. But at the time that we went, they didn't have any flags. However, the people had shirts that said Amare. So, and they were, if you're walking toward the water, and then you start to see the line, they're all like lined up because there's some trees, so they're all standing under the shade. Amare were the first men. So you're going to be walking away from the hospital toward the water on the sidewalk. And if you look over to your left, you will see all the people lined up, and Amare was the first people. Now, I don't know if their position changes or anything like that, but you just start walking toward the men and look on their shirts. And once you see Amare, you just hang out there with them, and that's your driver for the day, and they'll tell you when to go get on the boat. So, like I said, we got there around 9 o'clock, and they told us to be there at 9:15. There are people selling all kinds of stuff on the beach. Lots of vendors. So if you want any fruit, if you want any drinks, whatever you could want almost, there's snacks, you can find it there. If you want a beer at 9 o'clock in the morning, you're on vacation, no judgment, you can buy it. So if you want to have a little bit of cash with you so you can buy something while you're waiting for the boat to, all the people on the boat to get there, then go ahead, especially if you have kids. You know how it is. Sometimes your kids see the people selling things and they want a little something, or they weren't thirsty and then they see someone selling some water and then they are thirsty. So if you just have a little bit of cash with you, then you can just grab something while you're waiting there on the beach. And we had some mango while we were waiting and a couple drinks and like just some waters. And so yeah, it was just really nice. And like I said, they didn't have any flags, so I think it would be good for them if they did that as well, just because that seems to be what so many other beach clubs were doing, that's what your brain kind of starts to look for. You're like, oh, well, I see a bunch of flags, so I'm going to start looking for the Amare flag, and you won't find it. So again, maybe they'll get one in the future, but the people do have shirts that say Amare. Then, after everyone was present for the boat ride over, we left. And they were really fantastic about making sure that the kids have life jackets on. So everyone will have to wear a life jacket, and you just walk up to the beach, like to the water, and you get your life vest on, and then you climb in the boat. The boats are not huge. They're definitely a little on the smaller side, but they're not tiny. They're not tiny little boats. And if you have young kids that need a child size life vest, just be in communication as you are like buying all your things, like as you're booking everything for Amare. Just tell them they have life jackets for all sizes. So we didn't need any because our kids are past they're fine with just a regular traditional life vest now. But if you have kids that need a small life jacket, just make sure you tell them that, and they'll make sure that they have it with them. Okay. Let's take a minute to talk about the boat ride itself. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit in the day just so we can keep the boat ride there and the boat ride back together. So the boat ride there was decently smooth. It's definitely, you're in the ocean, and so you're definitely with some waves, and you are in a smaller boat, but it wasn't anything bad at all. It was a very enjoyable ride. The boat ride on the return in the afternoon was definitely a lot more bumpy. And by a lot more, I mean a lot. We had fun. Like, I think it's one of those things where if you as the parent kind of freak out and you act scared, then your kid's going to freak out and be scared, because the boat was never out of control. I can't emphasize that enough. The boat was never in a dangerous situation. But if you aren't super comfortable on the water, then you might have felt like it was a dangerous situation. I hope that I'm relaying that well. You're not in danger. We were never in danger. But if I wasn't like comfortable on a little boat like that, there might have been some moments, not the whole like 10-minute ride, but there might have been some moments in that 10-minute ride where I questioned, like, am I going to be okay? Like, is this safe? But it never wasn't safe. So if you're a little more anxious on the water, just be prepared that the boat ride going back, just because of it has to do with just the time of the day and the tides and all this kind of stuff. They say that usually the boat ride back is a little more rough, and that's what we experienced as well. So I don't say that to like get you scared or anything like that, just so that you're prepared, just so that you don't think, oh, the boat ride there was totally fine, and then that's how the boat ride is going to be to go back. Probably not. Probably you're going to be looking at a few more larger waves, a little bit more of a bumpy ride going back than you did getting to the beach club, to Amare. I will say though, it's so fast. It's like 8 to 10 minutes and it's over. And if you just laugh it off, then your kids are going to be great. They're going to have fun. They're going to view it as like a water roller coaster kind of. All that to say, if you have little kids, not like a baby that you're obviously going to be holding, I'm thinking anywhere in that, like, I don't know, 5 to 10, especially depending on how big your kid is. So Ryan is 11, our youngest is 11, and he sat on the end. Like he was at the, like holding on, like at the edge of the boat. I don't know, on the end seat. I would say on the way home, on your return trip, I would encourage you to keep those smaller kids next to you just so you can hold on to them. Just because it does get a little bumpy. So maybe you sit first because there are some kind of like poles that you can hold on to at the end seats that hold a canopy up over the boat, and you can hold on to that to give yourself a little more stability. So mom or dad could hold on to that pole, and then the other hand could hold on to the younger kid, just to make sure that they don't get like bumped. Yeah, so I just think that would be we didn't do that. And about halfway through, I was like, oh, maybe it wasn't a good idea for me to have Ryan on the edge like that. But he, like I said, he was fine. He's 11 and he's a big 11-year-old. So I never felt like, shoot, I made a horrible mistake and my son's going to get hurt. It was just a passing thought and just something I wanted to throw out there. Had he been younger, I totally would have found a way to move and make that a more comfortable ride for both him and me. Not physically comfortable, but just a little more like mentally comfortable, I think. So that's your boat ride. It's not bad, I promise. I never like it when someone talks about something and maybe there is a little more, I don't know, a little bit more of a, I don't want to say intense because intense is too strong of a word. Whatever the word below intense is, throw that in there. Whatever that means to you. Anytime there is a word below intense moment and people don't talk about it, I don't appreciate that. Because I'm just like, hey, here's how it is. You're going to hit some bumps on your way home. You might even hit some bumps on your way there, depending on the time of year you go. So just be aware of that. Again, it's a really fast ride. They have life vests. You're gonna be okay. But if you're not comfortable with water, you might get a little intimidated. So once we got we're still headed to Amare. So once we got there, we were greeted by 2 of the sweetest puppies, and by puppies I mean super old dogs. They were very, very old. One was named Nina and one was named Oso. And so if you don't know, in Spanish that means girl and bear. And so Nina and Oso were there with us, and the kids loved them. They let the kids were able to pet them, to hang out with them, and they just loved it. So if you have kids that love animals, then there's a huge bonus for you. Again, these dogs were old. So I don't want to act like if you're listening to this podcast 3 years later and you're like, oh, we can go to Amare and our kids can play with the dogs. I'm not convinced they'll be there in 3 years. So if you want to go like now. And if you want to see Oso and Nina, go now. And so, but they weren't bad dogs at all. They were super chill. At one point when we were eating, I think it was Nina came over and she kind of like sat near us, but she wasn't actively begging. And so it wasn't annoying at all. And I'm someone who I will tell you if your dog is annoying me. I'm not afraid to point that out. And these dogs weren't. They weren't at all. The one thing that I really liked about these dogs is anytime a vendor came up to the gate. So Amare is right on the beach. You have beach access there. You can go swimming in the beach. But it also has a gate so that when you are in the beach club, it's kind of like, this is where our property is, right? That's the point of the gate, right? Like say, this is our land. This is where Amare is. So as you enter the gate, you're on the Amare beach club property. And so not all, and I'll get to this in a little bit, not all vendors are allowed to come onto the property. And so as vendors get near the property, the dogs will bark. And I appreciate that. It's almost like the dogs know which ones are allowed and which ones aren't allowed. And they just seem like really good dogs. And so we hung out with them. So then on the Amare property, you have bathrooms, which were very fine. There was nothing wrong with the bathrooms at all. They worked great. There was a restaurant. There is a restaurant and a bar. There is a swimming pool, which was wonderful. An amazing swimming pool. They had cornhole, that game where you throw. They had darts you could play, and then they had beach access. And then loads of seating. And I will say, when we were there, at one point, the most amount of other people there were 5. So it was the 6 of us, and then at one point there were 5 other people. We were there on a weekday in low season. And I know that this place can get busy. So if you want to go to Amare, I would encourage you not to go on a weekend. If you can't do it any other day, then okay, that's just how it is. But the owner and my husband and I were able to spend a good amount of time talking. And he's an amazing guy, great business owner. But he was telling us that the most people is over 100 that can be at this place. I can't imagine it being that crowded. That would just be a lot. And he said that is on the weekends. Like it's not going to really get like that on the weekdays. So if you are able to go on a weekday, I would encourage that. And at that point, if you want to reserve like a lounger, you could. We didn't reserve a lounger and we were fine. Like I said, they have plenty of loungers there. And when we were there I think we went on a Wednesday, there were 5 other people besides us. So we were fine with the amount of loungers that they were providing. And so take that for what you want. If you feel like you're going in a busy season, I would definitely reserve a lounger or some kind of chair. So then you just have a place to sit and have all your things, and that would be nice. I can't imagine not being there with a place to sit. That would be kind of annoying. And so that's something to keep in mind of when you're going. As far as showers, they don't have showers, and here's why. Everything on Isla Bomba has to be brought in. The food, the water, all the gas. They have solar panels now, so they can, that's how they are doing electricity. But everything has to be brought in. And so, like the water they cook with, the water that, like just all the, like they have huge, not wells, like they have huge like water tanks that they have to get filled. And that's all the water. And so to offer showers to just all the guests isn't realistic, which I think, this is a podcast for traveling people. I think we all appreciate that. Like we appreciate the fact that there are just some places in this world that don't have the access to resources that other places in this world has. And Isla Bomba is just one of them. And so they don't have access to showers just for the guests that come for the day. They do have 2 rooms that they've just started putting out there for people to stay at. And so if you stay at on Isla Bomba with Amare, the rooms each have a shower. So if you stay overnight, then you'll have a shower, but that's it. Like that's only for their overnight, for their two overnight rooms. They don't offer water like for showering, just for everybody. So keep that in mind. And it wasn't a big deal at all. But I just wanted to say, like, as I'm listing all of the things that they don't have showers, just because of the fact that everything has to be brought in. And I think when you see it, you really appreciate that. And you really are like, wow, you guys are doing an amazing job at this beach club, knowing that everything has to be brought in. And so one of the things that was outstanding, I cannot even begin to say how delicious it was the food. they place a high emphasis on excellence in everything, and you can tell that from the environment to just the care they're taking of things to the way that they're remodeling things. All of it is a high level of excellence, but this food was probably, I think it was the best meal I had in Cartagena. And several of the other people in my family agreed that the food there was outstanding. And knowing that all of it has to be brought in, that everything requires just that much more work, it makes it even better. And the prices were really not that bad for the food, knowing that, yeah, everything has to be brought in. It was just amazing. And so I had shrimp, my kids had fish and chips, and my kids have had fish and chips in multiple cities around the world now. And the kids that had the fish and chips said this will put many fish and chip establishments in London, not a comparison. It would put them to shame because that's how good this fish and chips was. So we really enjoyed the food. I can't say enough how delicious the food is here. And the drinks, wow, so good. If you don't drink alcohol, they have many, many options for you. If you do drink alcohol, they have a wonderful cocktail menu. And all the drinks that Eric and I had were delicious. And the balance was perfect. The prices were great. Just so good drinks. And then another thing that is just over the top amazing is their staff. We were able to spend a little bit of time talking with multiple staffers. My husband doesn't speak English, or my husband only speaks English. He doesn't speak Spanish. I do speak Spanish. It feels weird to say I speak Spanish. That feels like a bolder statement than what I actually do. But I guess at this point, yeah, you could say I speak Spanish. And so I was able to have a conversation with the chef and just talk to her, and that was amazing. And then we were able to talk to several other of the staffers that were hanging around. They were so attentive. Anytime that the kids went anywhere, especially Ryan, anytime he was going anywhere, they were keeping an eye on him. And not like in a freaky way, not in a way that's going to make you uncomfortable as a parent, just in a way that you know that they are really looking after their guests. And anytime any kids were in the pool, there were staffers up on the pool deck, just watching, making sure. The pool, how deep was it? I mean, Ryan, who is, I never know if I should say like centimeters or feet. I'll say feet. The majority of the listeners here know feet. Ryan is 5'2", and so he could stand comfortably. So I would say this pool was maybe around 4 feet. So if your kids are lower than that, then you're definitely going to keep an eye on them. But if they are taller than that, then you're going to be able to really relax. But yeah, the staff people were always up there watching, and it was just, the staff were just great. The staff were so fantastic. You can tell that, so the one of the owners that we got to know, there's 2 owners. His name is Pablo, and Pablo is just doing an amazing job with Amare, and they do a really good job on training their staff in all things. When we were there, the morning that we were there, a woman came with us, and he was like, oh, she's gonna come and do a training for the staff. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. What's the training on? And he said, water. I said, huh? He's like, yeah, we are starting to only sell this one particular brand of water because it's from Colombia and it's from streams in Colombia, and just the way that it's made is really good. And so we want to train the staff on this water. So they had the owner, or not the owner, I think she was like a co-owner of this water company, come in to do a training of just about the water so that the staff could talk to people about why this is good water. And I'm like, oh my word, like that's crazy, right? And so just everything is taken with such care, and just really appreciate that. As someone whose husband is a business owner, that's the little things like that really make a difference and really show that Pablo cares about all aspects of Amare. And so, okay, back to the site itself. I could brag about Pablo forever. We were able to talk and just learn so much from him. And the more we talked, the more I would just look at Eric and go, this kid knows what he's doing. Like, I mean, he's not a kid. He's like my age. But this man, he has a really good head on his shoulders, and he's doing really good things here. So I can't emphasize enough, Pablo, how great you're doing. So I doubt he hears this, but well done. Okay, let's talk about vendors for a minute. We had a couple experiences at Amare with vendors. And when I say vendors, I mean like locals selling stuff on the beach. There are 2 local sales groups that have permission to come into Amare. Pablo has given them permission, and they have set times. So at 11 and 1, people come in selling bracelets. So if you want to get a little bracelet from like a local person, at 11 o'clock and at 1 o'clock, they'll come in. And then at noon and at 2, women who do massages and hair braiding come in. So if you want to get a massage, or you want to get your hair braided, or your kid wants to get their hair braided, that happens at noon and 2 o'clock. And they're only allowed to be in the property for about 15 minutes. They're not pushy, but they're definitely present. But if you have any experience just being around local vendors, you just be like, oh, no gracias, and then just go about your day. Like, it's going to be fine. So we didn't buy any bracelets, but I did get a massage. And it was okay. I appreciate the fact of being able to support a local person, because I had the chance to talk to Pablo just about the people, about the women doing the massages. And so I did feel good being like, oh, I'll get a massage and it'll benefit this woman. The massage itself was subpar and pricey. And because of the fact that I had to pay with credit card, it was even more expensive because I didn't have enough cash with me, but you could pay with credit card. So if you want to get a massage while you're at the beach club, looking at the ocean or something like that, I totally get it. It's that vibe. It's that vacation, relaxing vibe. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just know you'll probably get a better massage if you actually go to a place in the city. Like when you're back on the mainland of Cartagena, there's so many massage parlors. Pop in there and it might cost you maybe $5 more, maybe. And that's a stretch, maybe. It'd probably work out being the same, especially if you pay with credit card at Isla Bomba, like at Amare. And it's going to be a better massage. I have no doubt about. And so if you want it for the experience, go for it. If you want it because you enjoy just sitting on the beach and relaxing and getting your feet rubbed, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Be like, hey, I'm taking a vacation day, so I'm gonna do this. That's fine. Just know, if you actually want to get a massage, like I know a lot of people that get massages while they're on vacation. I think that's a great idea. This is not that. This is like for the experience of getting a massage while you're sitting at the beach club, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. So I will say there are also vendors outside who are not allowed to come into Amare for reasons that were implied but not outright told. And I would steer clear of them. We had a not great experience with boogie board men. It did not go well. And that was the first time I had ever used my Spanish to yell at somebody. Yell is a strong word, but it's the right word. And so, yeah, that was not okay. They really tried to run one over on us. So I would steer clear of the boogie board renters. Or if you see a horse or a donkey person, if they're not allowed to come into Amare, there's a reason. Pablo knows what he's doing. And so if there are people standing outside of the beach club, and especially if you're there in the morning or at a really busy time, there will be, I would steer clear of them. I would not do business with them. And if they get to be too much, just enter the gate, just go back into the Amare property, and they can't come in there. So you'll get away from them. So yeah. Okay. Moving on. There, like I kind of talked about, there are 2 rooms that they are starting to use for overnight guests. So if you would like to stay overnight at Amare, you can just reach out to them. And I'll have all their contact information in the show notes. So just reach out to them. And they are also working on a beach house, which will be for up to, the plan is to have, hopefully, if they can manage it, up to 8 people. So a larger group can stay at the beach house. And it is right on the beach. It is so, so cool. And it's a large space, and it's just wonderful. And they are currently working on that in hopes to have it ready by the end of summer 2024. So as this podcast is coming out, they're actively working on it right now. So I told Pablo, I was like, I'm going to have to come back and we'll have to stay at the beach house and see how that goes. And so if you would like to stay overnight, you totally can. There is stuff to do on Isla Bomba. There's really cool history stuff to do there. And Amare can help you get transportation over to that part of the island. It's not a big island, but you need to take like a motorbike or just something to get over there. And so, but they can help you do that. And so definitely, if you want to get off of like the mainland, but you don't want to go too far, this is a fantastic option. Another thing I really appreciate about Pablo is, sadly, Cartagena does have a lot of sex tourism. And I hope that, I didn't just open a can of worms if you have little ears listening, but sadly, that's a reality of the city. And Pablo is very, very strict about who is allowed to stay overnight in order to combat that. And so you do have to show like how, like if he can see that you all have the same last name, like for our family, he saw, they all have the same last name. So you know that they're a family. But if you are friends, they do have like some questions that they ask you just to make sure that you're not participating in that type of tourism. So I really appreciate that because we are not supportive of that here in our family. And so I do really appreciate that. And we talked about that for a while with Pablo. And so the last thing I want to say is this. If you are in Cartagena and you need a break from the city, from that go, I don't know how you guys are, but when we're on a trip, I feel this need to pack everything in because we view things differently. This is what we say. We say we have vacations, which are purely for disconnecting, for relaxing and connecting as a family unit. We have vacations. We have trips, which are, we're going to this place and we're going to run ourselves ragged in order to see it all. And then we have what we do. We have our travel. And for our travel, it's more like slow travel. We're living in a place for a while. We're really getting into the nitty gritties of that city. And that's a little more slow paced, but it's real life stuff. Like it's grocery shopping. It's getting the kids involved in activities. It's the real life stuff. So we have 3 different ways that we move about this world. And Cartagena was definitely a trip. It was not vacation. It was a trip. But this one day at Amare was a vacation. So if you're like us and you just jam pack your trips full of go, and you almost have to force yourself to relax and just breathe, this is perfect because you're so disconnected from all the crazy stuff in the city that you just relax and you're with your family and there's no Wi-Fi. So you can have your phone to take pictures and that's fine, but you're not going to have Wi-Fi. So you might as well just throw your phone in airplane mode anyways to save that battery and just enjoy it. If you are looking for something like that in Cartagena, Amare is the place. There is no better place. It's so family friendly and the staff will treat you better than any place else. And so I would definitely encourage you to check it out. Okay, that's going to end it for this one. But like I said, the next episode is going to be all about tips and tricks to make your time at Amare even better than ours was, because that's the point of this, right? Like we do the things and then you tell your friends how to do it even better. Like, come on, that's a win. That's a win, right? So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you are going to Cartagena, check out Amare. It's a 10-minute fun boat ride, and you're in another place. You're just a whole nother place entirely with amazing drinks and delicious food. You will not be sad. You will not be sad with anything that you eat or drink at Amare. You will just be happy. So with that, I want to say thank you for listening. I hope that you listen to the next one to make your time there even better. And as always, I hope you continue to travel joyfully.